Gets open for three. Dagger!
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Well Beyond the Arc. I'm Manoli.
And I'm Montana.
And we're at episode number 24. Glad you guys can be with us. Montana, how you feeling? How's Hawaii treating you these days?
It's good. It's busy. Work's really getting busy, but I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate to that. So work's just been picking up, but it's been beautiful out here. I kind of forgot it was November. I'm not gonna lie.
You're wearing shorts, aren't you?
I am wearing shorts every day, all day.
Here I am wearing a jersey with long sleeves, committing a fashion faux pas, but whatever. I'm in the Midwest in November. It's starting to get a little cooler, so God bless you, brother. But welcome to everyone. Glad you can be with us. We'll be talking NBA basketball as always for the next hour. No, don't mute Montana. We need him here. A lot of different topics to get into. Before we get into that, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube on the left lower left corner. Trying to get that subscribership up here. We can't do without your support. So please do so if you haven't already. If you're listening to us on Spotify or anywhere else you're getting your podcast, welcome to you guys as well. And we're just going to jump right into it. Biggest story in the NBA over the past few days has been around Kyrie Irving. And we want to start off the top. Well, Beyond the Arc, we're a basketball show. We talk hoops. We talk NBA hoops specifically. Montana and I discussed we're not going to go into, whether or not we think Kyrie should have got suspended, what he did, what he didn't do, conspiracy theories, what this means, all this other stuff. Neither one of us is qualified to talk to all of that. We're here to talk hoops, guys. So, but we will talk about, and we're going to get into now, is how Kyrie's suspension, which we all can agree on, he's suspended for at least 5 games. We're going to talk about how that suspension is going to affect the Brooklyn Nets. So, I mean, Montana, right off the bat, Nets are down another all-star for, at least another couple games. Could be more, could be less. How's that going to affect Brooklyn's ball club going forward here?
Arguably, I think that they've gotten better since he's been off the court. I wouldn't say they've gotten a lot better, but I'd say Kevin Durant has taken on much more of the workload. And of course, I mean, I believe he's, 30s. You don't really want a player in their 30s to take on too much of a workload. But at the same time, I think that it's just fine. I think that it's worked. I think that we've seen them play better basketball without Kyrie on the floor. And that's not really anything against Kyrie's game because he's looked pretty decent when he's been on the floor this season. I just think there's a different mentality, a different mindset since he's gone that is helping them win some more ball games. But I don't think that him being there or him being gone is as big of a factor as some people think. I don't think that Nets team is going to go very far with him, and I don't think they're going to go very far without him. I think that they're in a situation that goes way beyond what's happened with him and the suspension. They've been a struggling organization, a pretty toxic organization for the last 6-7 years now. So maybe not 6-7 years, but going on, I'd say 3 to 5 years. They're definitely an organization that has had a lot of problems and been in the media in negative ways more than just this. So I would say that it is not going to affect them too much either way, but if anything, I'm leaning more towards good because I think Kevin Durant is going to really, we've seen him piece together some great performances and put up some shows since Kyrie's been out. So maybe that will continue and help start a streak and get them in a better place.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie Irving went on the court. He's one of the most talented players in the NBA. He's only, if you can believe it, I can't believe I'm saying only just turning 30 years old. He's in his athletic prime. Got some of the best handles in the game, great all-around point guard, good shooter, and things of that nature, things of that stuff. Nets have gone 2-1 since he's been suspended, but those 2 wins have been against the Washington Wizards, which solid Eastern Conference team, a little bit better than most thought. Blew them out by 40. The game that Kevin Durant crossed over Daniel Gafford so bad, created an instant meme. I think it's gone around all the social media platforms. Beat a Charlotte Hornets team that isn't really good right now without Lonzo Ball. Barely beat those guys and barely lost to the Dallas Mavericks by 2 points, where Nets even had a chance to win it there at the end. So yeah, they're 2-1 without him, 4-7 on the season here. But in the NBA, you need talent, and I agree with you that Kyrie Irving isn't going to, the way that they're playing and what they've proven last year, they're probably going to hover around 500. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have had great games, 30-plus point games in the same game, and it still hasn't translated into wins. They are getting Joe Harris is starting to play a little bit more as he comes back from that foot injury that he was out most of last season on. Seth Curry's finally coming back and starting to get himself into playing shape. That's going to be a valuable piece off the bench. So the Nets are adding talent. I think that the Nets are better with Kyrie Irving, but it is interesting that the Nets are playing better record wise. Now, granted, they haven't played anybody. I mean, other than the Dallas Mavericks, but I think they need Kyrie Irving. I really do. I think they're better with them, more talent on the floor. It's another threat to help Kevin Durant because right now, from an offensive standpoint, Kevin Durant is on an island, and he's doing what he's putting up numbers. He's averaging over 30. Um, but the next 5 games they have the New York Knicks. They're going to be playing at home against the Knicks, at the Los Angeles Clippers as they start a West Coast trip, at your Lakers, at the Sacramento Kings, at Portland Trail Blazers. They're not going to have Kyrie for at least 2 of those games, but even on that 5-game road trip, Montana, and we haven't even started talking about Ben Simmons yet, but those 5 games, how many do you see them winning?
I can see them at least winning 3 of those. I think they can at least pull 3 wins off. I do think that those are definitely more legit opponents than who they faced, and seeing, however many games Kyrie is not in, I think that will definitely affect them because I do agree he is a talented player. He does add a lot of talent every time he steps on the court. But the problem is the Nets as a whole are not a complete team. They remind me of an Eastern Conference Lakers, a couple of stars and then a poorly constructed roster after that. So I think it's a pretty similar situation. You got a point guard that has a lot of different things. Like it's pretty, they kind of mirror each other in a lot of ways. So, at the same time, I think Kevin Durant is more capable of carrying a team at the moment than LeBron would be. And I think we could see Kevin Durant put up some big numbers, get some other role players involved, and at least piece together 3 wins.
Yeah, and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both ball dominant, and I think your comparison to the Eastern Conference version of the Lakers is spot on, right? I mean, both those guys need to have the ball in their hands to do damage. That's why when both of them put up 30 points, it's almost like they're taking turns getting their shots and getting their buckets, and it's still not translating into wins. Seth Curry coming back, I think, is going to help, but Ben Simmons, and we'll get into this in good, bad, and ugly later on, but I mean, you want to talk about triple single. Ben Simmons isn't doing anything for that team. And yes, he's playing, which is more than what we can say about him last year, but he's not helping right now. And that's only going to hurt that team going forward, right?
And I do agree. It's very tricky to see the Nets being a team that anyone is going to take serious unless they kind of blow their roster up and try to keep Kevin Durant, but you really can't. You're not in a place to do that. They've not put themselves in a position where they can build a team around Kevin Durant. And it just, even Kevin Durant, I'm pretty sure, has wanted out. So, I mean, how are you going to win games when you have all these players that are wanting out or do in all these different situations? It's just, they're not putting themselves in good situations. And the Nets have bought into this situation. They have spent a lot of money and spent a lot of time to put themselves in this situation. But I think at this point, they thought they'd have a couple titles out of Kevin Durant and Kyrie, but not even anything too notable at all.
Yeah, I mean, having talent and all the talent you can get isn't necessarily translating into championships, into wins all the time. It's just this roster is just not a good roster put together from top to bottom. So they're going to continue to struggle, in my opinion, as well. Well, let's speaking of struggling, let's get into state of our squads. And no, that wasn't a shot at your Lakers, but Lakers had another rough week. Did get their second win, Montana, but floor is yours to rant about your beloved Los Angeles Lakers.
So yeah, I mean the Lakers definitely improved in a lot of areas this last week. What Russell Westbrook is playing phenomenally. He is arguably one of the only bright spots on the team right now. When Anthony Davis is on the floor, we saw kind of a resurgence of a duo on the Lakers because we haven't really seen that duo energy with LeBron and AD for a season at least. And seeing Westbrook and AD working together and making some nice plays, that was really the duo that I thought. That's the duo more than LeBron and AD so far this season. They looked really nice and really in touch. So a lot of positivity, getting better with our threes. I saw improvement with the threes, taking less looks, and the ones that they were taking, they were cashing in more. Reeves had a pretty good week. Matt Ryan had a pretty good week. So there's a lot of high points. Unfortunately, that did not translate into wins. And my biggest problem is it's always the third. It's always the third. The Lakers were beating the Cavs going into the third, and then they just got stomped after that. Same with the Jazz. They cannot piece these wins together, and they can't hold on. Once they get it, they let go. And a big reason, in my opinion, is LeBron James. I'm not happy with LeBron at all so far this season because he's had a couple, 27-point games, 20, but it's not translating into wins. It's like you said about the Nets. You can have big points, but it's not translating. And I don't see the LeBron that I was hoping to see so far. I don't see that. I don't know what's going on. I know we're going to touch on LeBron a little bit later, and maybe our topic on that is part of it. But I've not liked LeBron so far. AD's been all over the place. So it was a week that looked a lot better, but to me, we're still lacking the pieces we need to turn in, a 1-2 into a 3-0 or even a 2-1 for the week. So, we're lacking, we're struggling. Big week this week. Already dropped a game to the Jazz last night, and I totally thought that was going to be our bounce back game, but not quite yet. And then we've got Kings, we've got Clippers, and we've got we just Nets on Sunday. So we've got ourselves a big week, and I'd like to say we can at least go 2-2 on the week because I think we can beat the Nets, and I know we can beat the Kings. But right now, I don't know because we're not consistent enough within the game for me to think we can pull any wins off. So better week overall in a lot of areas, but still a lot to be left wanting.
I did think that Matt Ryan game tying 3 was pretty cool. Dude was literally working. I think he was working in a cemetery, and he was also a door dasher.
Mhm.
And next thing you know, he's hitting crucial late game threes for the Los Angeles Lakers of all teams. And it's not, again, we say it every week, it's not to be confused with current quote Colts, Englishman only, Colts quarterback Matt Ryan. This is a different Matt Ryan, but that was pretty cool. But I agree, Lakers got to step it up. As far as my Bulls go, I'm going to be a broken record again. We're back at 500, and we're going to be 500 for most of the season, if not the whole entire season, the way things are going. I think we'll be 500 till at least hovering around 500 until at least Lonzo Ball comes back, which thankfully there's been some positive updates on his recovery from this latest knee surgery. Whatever the surgery was that helped clean up his knee and get those bone spurs off the nerve has definitely helped. The Bulls still had not given a timetable for his return, but a solid week. Split a back-to-back with the Toronto Raptors. With the Eastern Conference contending team. Had a heck of a battle with the Boston Celtics on Friday. DeMar DeRozan put up 46 points, but the schedule is not going to be the Bulls' friend if they continue to monitor Zach LaVine and sit him at least on one half of all these back-to-backs. So far, the Bulls have played 12 games. That's tied for the most in any team in the league with the Utah Jazz, which oddly enough are 9-3 and sitting in the 1 seed in the Western Conference, if you can believe that. But more teams are focusing in on DeMar DeRozan and not letting DeMar DeRozan beat them. When Zach LaVine's on the floor, like you saw last night against the Raptors, that game plan doesn't work because LaVine's your max player, a talented all-star guard that can do everything on the court, and he can take over that role. If LaVine's sitting on that first half of the back-to-back, the Bulls are going to struggle. So, like I said, 500 from here on out, and I hope I'm wrong for the better, but we shall see. A team that's not 500, well, teams that aren't 500, and the teams we talk about the most here on Well Beyond the Arc, for better or worse, are the Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. And there's been some rumors already about your boy Anthony Davis, Montana. He may be available in trade talks already. We're only about 10 games in. They're already talking about trading AD. Granted, they're just rumors, but is this the time, if you're the Lakers, to trade Anthony Davis and or LeBron James and or Russell Westbrook, which we talked about last week? And then if it's the Brooklyn Nets, well, actually, let's start with the Lakers first. If you're the Lakers, do you trade any of those guys? Primarily AD?
No, you the only one you might trade is Russell Westbrook, and even now I'm not sure if that is the right move to go with because I do think that Westbrook could offer us more than he won't offer us, and I think that he's a solid player, and I think that if we can just get a couple other pieces, we'll be fine. So Westbrook's the only one that I would say absolutely, that's the one that I feel, but AD, no. I don't see that making any sense at this point. Now, after the season is up, or if there's just, if the writing is on the wall at any point, then maybe we look into something, but I don't think the writing is on the wall yet. And if the Lakers, really folded that quickly, that would be just that would be weak to me. That wouldn't be, because I know that we can be great with LeBron and Anthony Davis and maybe even Russell Westbrook. So I think that's way too soon to be saying that. But I've seen those reports, and they're building up. They're going pretty constantly. There's a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week. I think that if I'm the Pacers or if I'm the Lakers, I try to trade Russell Westbrook and ask back for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. And then once Westbrook gets to the Pacers, buy him out, let him join whatever team he wants after that. That's a trade I make. I'm going to say that until it happens. As far as AD and LeBron go, it's too soon. It's way too soon. And being a newbie to Twitter because of the blog, man, Twitter is a cesspool. But you should see the New York Knicks fans putting together mock trades for Anthony Davis. It's hilarious. I mean, Cam Reddish, 4 first-round picks, and I don't know, some guys never heard of. And if I've never heard of him, being a basketball junkie, that's news for Anthony Davis. There's no way the Lakers are going to do that. But if the Lakers continue to toil and they're falling farther and farther out of the Western Conference playoff picture, AD's your trade value. He's your chip right now. He's the guy that's going to get you the most back. If I'm the Lakers, would I trade him? No. But if the season's going way south, I mean, people might want to trade for LeBron, but they have to take on that contract that's like, what is it, 2 years, $48 million per year. With granted, he's got a player option to get out of it, but that's a lot of money for a guy that's getting up there in age. Still one of the best players in the league, but he's starting to show signs of slowing down. Or maybe he's pacing himself and waiting for the playoffs, which, if you're the Lakers, might not happen, unfortunately. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the Lakers. But let's look at the Brooklyn Nets. Their trade chips are Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is on an expiring deal at $36 million this year. Kevin Durant's got that 4-year extension. I think he's got 4 years left. I think the extension kicked in this year for about $196 million. If you're Brooklyn, and we just talked about how that roster is poorly put together. If you're Brooklyn, do you try to trade one or two, both of those guys?
Now this is a complete opposite scenario. With the Lakers, it's like, it's too soon, but with the Nets, it's beyond time, I would say, to make a move. And well, I don't think the Kyrie Irving situation has made it very hard for me to see a team really being willing to make a trade at this point. Maybe eventually throughout the season if stuff with whatever goes on, but I find it very hard to see Kyrie Irving being an easily movable player. But I do think Kevin Durant is and should be moved sooner than later, because Kevin Durant, yes, he still has some, gas in the tank. He can still put up big numbers, but he wants to be a part of a team and an organization that is actually pushing to win a championship. And the Nets are not going to do that. Whether they can keep Kyrie and KD, I mean, they'll be a play-in game bounce out or first round bounce out easily, no matter what. So I don't think that holding on to pieces such as Kevin Durant is going to do anything other than hurt you more. I think blowing that roster up, getting some new faces in, and just trying to build a team like that last really successful Nets team with D'Angelo Russell, that was solid. That was a solid squad of role players that played like stars together. So I think you blow it up and you go back to that formula, because that's the last time the Nets were actually successful, in my opinion.
As a Lakers fan, if you're the GM and Rob Pelinka's fired, which I'm sure you're dreaming about every day, if you're the Lakers GM and Sean Marks of the Nets offered you Kyrie Irving and your choice of Seth Curry or Patty Mills to make the salaries work for Russell Westbrook, right now, would you do it?
No.
You wouldn't take Kyrie Irving, because I believe he's going to be back in a few games. I really do. Yeah. But you wouldn't take Kyrie Irving and Seth Curry, another shooter, or Patty Mills on a team that desperately needs shooting. You wouldn't take that for Russell Westbrook. Expiring contract for expiring contract.
No, wow. Westbrook's bought in now. If Westbrook's bought in, then we're pretty much set with Westbrook. So I'm not going to switch gears completely, because I've been talking trash on Westbrook almost since since episode 1 of the show. But I'm not trying to switch up. I'm just saying that I think that this is the role that Russell Westbrook will be able to be successful in on the Lakers, and successful overall. I think this is the most success he's going to be able to find if he can lead a second unit for the Lakers. So I don't think it's worth it. And it goes beyond the situation with Kyrie at the moment. Kyrie on and off the court, there's been a lot of things within the last 2 years that make me question if I would want him on my team.
If I'm the GM of the Lakers, I pull the trigger because I get another shooter, and that Lakers team desperately needs shooting. But that's me, and I don't know if I would take Patty Mills or Seth Curry. I think I'd rather have Seth Curry, but Patty Mills is a spark plug. I can get you some quick buckets in a hurry. I mean that's just me. Kevin Durant's got trade value, but that's a massive contract. And Kevin Durant's 34, going on 35. He'll be 35, I think, in the spring after the calendar turns. Still, obviously, a great player, still averaging 30 points, still getting buckets. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a team that I'd want to take on Kevin Durant for 4 years at that contract. Great player, absolute great player, but man, I think you my prediction is I think Kyrie Irving is going to come back to the Nets. They're not going to move him, but I think Kyrie Irving's the easier one to move than Kevin Durant, believe it or not. That's just me.
No, yeah. Contract wise, absolutely. And there's a lot of owners and a lot of GMs and people in the front office that will look beyond a lot of the stuff going on outside of basketball or outside of whatever sport it is and just look at the player for what they are as a team. And looking at that, I do think Kyrie Irving can offer a lot to a team, but I haven't seen enough since he left the Cavs. It has been all about him, and it hasn't really been about the team. And ever since he's been a leader, he has shown that he has failed in a leadership position. And putting two failed leaders in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving together and asking them to lead a team, how is that going to work?
You're watching it. You're watching it.
Yeah, it's been going great for him. So honestly though, I'm not a big Kevin Durant fan, so I wouldn't mind seeing him bounce from the play-in even. So keep it up, Nets.
Well, a team that folks are not expecting to make it to the play-in, they're probably better than last year, but who knows, they're going to end up in the West. Dallas Mavericks, and they're being led by their superstar, Luka effing Doncic. Dude has had 9 straight 30-point games to start the season. Shades of Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt the Still territory right there. And he's one of the favorites for MVP this year. I mean, what Luka's doing, he is tearing up the league. Doesn't matter who the Mavericks are playing. Now, I think the Mavericks are 6-3, 5-3, something like that. But still, they're winning for the most part. For you, Montana, and I want to get your top 5 MVP voting right now in a second, but is Luka your front runner for the MVP?
Yeah, absolutely. And he I believe when we did our early predictions, I had him winning it because I see him being a player, or at least he was 1 or 2 on my list of people. But I'm pretty sure I had him winning it because I think this is his year. I think it's been his year. He's been a player, but I think it's his year. I think he's going to really take over the league, and he's doing it. Look where he's at. I mean, he's already taken it over. And the Cavs, in my opinion, are a pretty underperforming roster as a whole, and he's leading them to a pretty solid record. Does he have role players and good players behind him? He's got some decent talent behind him, but it's all Luka.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Mavericks are going to go as far as Luka Doncic takes them. He's definitely the most valuable player to his squad, right? I mean, if he goes down, the Mavericks aren't even making the playoffs. Yeah, they might float around the play-in or whatever, but they're not anywhere near where they can be without Luka Doncic on the floor. Another team I could say that about right now, the way they're playing, is the Warriors and Steph Curry, because he's the only one that seems to be playing right now. I mean, Wiggins is having some decent games here and there. Poole, Klay Thompson struggling, although he did have a Klay Thompson-like game the other night in a loss at Orlando. Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you take him off the Bucks, they're still maybe a lower tier Eastern Conference team, but they're not a championship contender without Giannis Antetokounmpo. So for me, and we'll go through them right now. For me, I don't have Luka Doncic as my front runner. He's number 2. The guy whose FIBA jersey I'm wearing, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is my number 1 right now. And I know he's got 2 MVPs in his trophy case already. And I know it's the year of Luka. The dude got in shape, and we were ready to prove it to the world. But hell, let's just go through our top 5 MVP ladder, if you will. Go start. Give me your 5 all the way down to number 1 for you.
Okay, perfect. So starting at 5, I've got Dame. Damian Lillard is having himself a great season. He is a player that is always up there in MVP talks, at least early on. He's having himself a great season. So I've got Dame at 5. I've got Ja Morant at 4, another player who's been in the MVP talks, especially early in the season the last few years. I've got Donovan Mitchell at 3, and he has been playing fantastically. Like I said a couple episodes back before, I think it was right after he was traded or before he was traded, he is a player that is absolutely going to progress and advance in Cleveland, and he's going to become like his full self. I think he's going to reach his full potential being in Cleveland. So I have him at 3, but I can easily see him bumping up throughout the season. Number 2, I've got Giannis, again having a great season, looks great, but Luka's my number 1, and Luka's solidly my number 1 right now. But again, it's really early, and any 5 of these guys, or like even like 5 to 6 others, could easily be the MVP by the end of the season.
No, it's a solid list. Solid list. I think Damian Lillard is one of my favorite players in the league. He's got to stay on the floor. He's been hurt for a couple of games, but he's looked good when he's been on the floor. So hopefully, get back to action and continue that MVP / superstar level pace. For me, number 5, I have Steph Curry. He's averaging almost 33 points a game, and where would the Warriors be now? Granted, the Warriors are struggling, but where would they be without Steph Curry right now, with the way the rest of that team's performing right now? He's been the offense. So I have him at number 5, believe it or not. Number 4, I have Jason Tatum. Celtics don't have, they made a they were forced to make a coaching change right before training camp here, but Jason Tatum has been balling out. He's averaging over 30 points a game, 10, 11, 12 games into the season for the Celtics there. The Celtics are among the top teams in the Eastern Conference again, to the surprise of nobody. Maybe us, because we thought there'd be a little bit of a adjustment with Joe Mazzulla, but give the Celtics credit, and Jason Tatum's been balling out. Number 3, I'm in total agreement with you, Donovan Mitchell. And the way Donovan Mitchell has been balling in Cleveland, if he's number 3 on the list, it just shows you how good these top 3 guys are for MVP and how difficult it's going to be to win the award. But Donovan Mitchell, change of scenery. It's been a great fit with Darius Garland, even though, he's been injured most of the season. But when they play together, watch out. Good luck stopping those guys. Karis LeVert, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, those guys. It's been fun to watch, and the Cavs have been even better than what we thought. Number 2, like I said, I got Luka Doncic. If the Mavericks make it as a top 3 seed in the West, I'm willing to reconsider it. But right now, they're still hovering too close to 500 for me, even though he's having a breakout season. 36 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists. The guy's literally doing it all for the Dallas Mavericks. You take him off that team, they're nowhere near the playoffs. And then number 1, I have the 2-time MVP and NBA champ, Defensive Player of the Year, Milwaukee Bucks superstar, Jay's favorite guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 1. He's taken it to another level so far, and he's had to, with the Bucks missing Chris Middleton to injury so far. And the Bucks, they're a better team with Chris Middleton, but they have not missed him yet so far. It's been interesting, and I have no idea where that music is coming from. If you hear it too. Yeah. All right. So Giannis Antetokounmpo for me is number 1 on my MVP on my MVP ladder. All 5 of my guys are averaging 30 points per game. Other than the Warriors, the Celtics, Cavs, Mavericks, and Bucks are all well above 500. I think the Bucks are 8 or 9-1. Just lost their first game the other night. So, look, it'll be interesting to see. We still have a lot of season left, and we'll see who takes home that NBA's most coveted award. But for now, we're going to be playing the internet's most coveted game show. It's a time for another episode of, thank you, Jay, the cinematic music of the Milwaukee Bucks. It's time for another edition of NBA Player Or. And if you've been watching Well Beyond the Arc, you know how the game is played, but we're going to go through it again anyway, just in case we have some newbies joining our program. Every week, I give Montana the name of 5 people. 5 guys. He's got to tell me whether or not they are current or former NBA players or somebody from another profession. What that other profession is changes week to week. It could be European politicians, famous ice skaters, WWE wrestlers, traffic cops. I don't know. It's whatever I figure out on that day. So Montana to date is 78 out of 110. That's nearly 72% correct, probably about 70% right there. And he said it. He said it a couple episodes ago. He's just guessing most of the time, which God bless you, man. But if Montana gets the answer to one of the questions correct, you will hear the sound. Victory! Thank you, Johnny Drama. And if he gets it incorrect, you will hear this appropriate sound. All right, Montana, how you feeling today? About
Good, feeling
this
great. I think I'm on a 1 or 2 streak. I don't know. I'm not sure.
one or two correct?
I'm going off of at least I'm going off of at least one. I know I got the last one right, but I thought I got the last 2 in a row of the last episode
Okay.
right. I'm not sure though. So I'm on a 2 right streak. I'm going to continue that. Make it 7.
Well, we'll see how this goes. How familiar are you with Sports Illustrated?
Are we talking about like um
There's a
uh
second part to this question. Go ahead, answer the first part.
no, yeah, sure. I'm really familiar with it.
Okay. How familiar are you with the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition? You
Mm,
need to brush up on it.
yeah, I need to do some studying. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Not super familiar, but hey,
Well, today's NBA player category is NBA player or Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
okay. I
The long dramatic pause says it all.
I'm trying to process this right now. This is a tricky one. You've got me with this one. I might have
Look,
to.
all I'm going to tell you, the only hint I'm going to give you is don't overthink.
Okay,
That's it. Don't
perfect,
overthink. Don't
perfect.
overthink. And the second hint I'm going to give you, and this is the first time well beyond the arc that I'm even giving you hints before we play. The second hint, and it's only going to come up in one of the names, is what are you doing, Dragic? Derrick Rose can go upstairs. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Those are great hints. Here we go.
Name number one. Is this a name of an NBA player or Sports Illustrated swimsuit model? The name is Kelly Olynyk.
NBA.
Victory!
You're not gonna
Thank,
get me with that.
thank,
You're not gonna get me
thank
with. You're
God.
not gonna get me with. Oh man.
I'm not even going to go through Kelly Olynyk's stats or where he's played. He's a current forward for the Utah Jazz. Montana got it. That's a sanity check. We can continue on with the show. We don't have to stop right now. All right. 1 for 1. Name number 2. Is this the name of a former or current NBA player or Sports Illustrated swimsuit model? The name is Shannon Click. Shannon Click.
I'm gonna go with model.
Victory! It sounds like she can be a different type of star, but that's the correct answer. Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Thank you, Google. Seriously, I had to Google that. Name number 3. Is this the name of a current or former NBA player or Sports Illustrated swimsuit model? The name is Shannon Brown.
NBA.
Victory! He's 3 for 3, folks. Shannon Brown, and he's a former Laker too. Former Laker, former Phoenix Sun. I believe he's from the Chicagoland area, if I'm not mistaken. Former guard, high flyer, solid player. Definitely not a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. All right, Montana. The next 2 is where it gets a little more difficult. You're 3 for 3. Got you to lay up this far, but you got to take it home now. Name number 4. Is this a current or former NBA player or a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model? The name is Stacey King. Stacey King.
I'm gonna go. Ooh. I'm gonna stick with NBA.
Victory! Use that hint pretty well. Stacey King, former 3-time champion with the Chicago Bulls out of the University of Oklahoma. Was on the first three-peat team, played with the Bulls until 94, then played with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Miami Heat. He is the current color analyst for Bulls TV games, and he is the guy when I said, what are you doing, Dragic? Derrick Rose can go upstairs. He was the one that made that call. Probably didn't know that, but you got the answer right anyway. All right, Montana, you have the world on edge here. 4 for 4. Is this going to be a 5 for 5? Last, 5th, and final name. Is this an NBA player or Sports Illustrated swimsuit model? The name is Kirby Griffin. Kirby Griffin.
See, I'm going to go with what I don't think it is. Because I don't think that it's a model, but it's a model.
Flawless victory.
Let's go.
Kid's got some drama in him. Yes. All I gotta say is Kirby Griffin is a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. So that's 5 for 5.
Still all guesses. I don't know any of the models' names at all. So that was complete. Well, not guesses for Shannon Brown and Kelly Olynyk, but every other one was a guess. So
I've not looked through a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model in about mag in about 15 years. I've never heard of those names. But more, hey, 5 for 5.
That's all that matters. On a 7 streak, I think. I'm on a 7. I got to keep track of that.
He's a one-man alive sports bureau, folks. Well, we're going to hold for a quick message from the Yankee and the Brit.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jay from Yankee and the Brit telling you to come over and check out our shows. The Yankee and the Brit Sports Talk, Well Beyond the Arc, the Markout Podcast, Flagrant and Foul, Real Talk with Jay, and MMA Underground Weekly at YouTube.com/The Yankee and the Brit. Deuces.
All right. Well, hey, you got some encouragement from Daniel. Shout out Daniel joining us most weeks, I think every week. So thanks for joining us again, Daniel. All right. Dwight Howard, former All-Star, debatable whether or not he should have been on the NBA's top 75 list. Current free agent, is a free agent no more. Dwight Howard, former Laker. I think he was with the Lakers last year, right, Montana? Former Laker. Yes. He's taking his talents to Taiwan. That's right. You heard that here, folks. Taiwan. He is signed with I'm going to butcher this name, Taiwan Leopards of Taiwan's T1 League. Montana, is this a big deal, little deal, or no deal at all? Good for Dwight, but
I think it's huge because I've already seen, so I follow him on social media because I'm going to be honest. I know that he had a pretty up and down career as a Laker, but I really like that he won a championship with the Lakers and how much I think he was a huge contribution to that championship. So I'm a really big Dwight Howard guy. So I have him on all the social media, and I saw him post a little video. And it seems like he has a gigantic fan base there. So why wouldn't you want to go to a place where everyone's going to embrace you? It kind of feels like he's starting to get kind of pushed to the side here. Why wouldn't he want to go somewhere where he's going to be front and center and probably put up some pretty good games? So I think it's a big deal for him. And I think that it's a big deal for that basketball league. And I think that it will be really exciting to see him just still being able to play basketball. But is it a big deal to like everybody and to the sports world? Probably not a super big deal, but I think it's definitely something that he should be celebrated and proud of, because going to a place that is going to embrace you that much at this point in your career is awesome. So props to him for finding a place that works for him, because he definitely still has it in the tank. I'm going to be honest, the Lakers kind of screwed him last year. So I think that the reason that a player like him and Carmelo Anthony aren't getting picked up isn't their fault. I think the Lakers made him look pretty damn bad last year. But I'll stop my rant about the Lakers there. But I do think that definitely made those players look worse than they really are and look like they don't have as much as they really do. So good for him. I think it's great. I think that he's going to have a lot of fun down there, and I think he's going to get a lot of love, and he definitely deserves that at this point in his career. He deserves his flowers. He's almost done.
Yeah, look, he's 37. Still keeps himself in great shape. He's still very tall. I mean, I don't know much about the Taiwan T1 league. Haven't brushed up on that league yet, but I'm pretty confident that there isn't anybody in that league that can guard Dwight Howard right now. If he's not getting looks from NBA teams, why not? I mean, if you're go with the fans that are showering you with love, go for it. I mean, you see how it worked with some other guys like Kobe and T-Mac were big in China, but look what it did for Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury was basically, I don't know if I want to say blackball, but no one was really looking to pick him up. And he got an opportunity to go play in China. And it changed his life. And he's coaching over. He's become a basketball legend over there. Now he's coaching over there. So who knows? The possibilities are endless for Dwight Howard. Good for him that he's got a gig. I agree. I don't know if this is a huge deal. It's probably a big deal for him. But who knows? It doesn't mean that he can't return to the NBA if somebody wants to sign him for the second half of the season, even your Lakers. So we'll see. All right, let's get into our good, bad, and ugly for this week. We started this a couple weeks ago. Each week, Montana and I pick something that we from the NBA that's good, something that's bad, and something we just think is ugly. Montana, what's your good?
So my good this week, again, I don't want to be too much on the Lakers, but my good this week is Russell Westbrook, and it's not just because he's a Laker. It makes me really happy to see Russell Westbrook being embraced like he is by a fan base again and having fun playing the game of basketball how he plays it. So my good was Russell Westbrook. Looking at it outside of the Lakers and just him as a player, I was really, really happy to see him kind of start bouncing back and look like his old self, because that's looking like his old self is a big deal for him. I think he has an identity that he's found, and he really lost that last season. So I'm glad that he looks more like himself, and it doesn't matter what jersey he's in, just seeing him playing more like himself is a positive thing, in my opinion, for the league.
Good for Russell Westbrook. I'm glad to see him thrive in that six-man role. For me, my good is Luka Doncic. I mean, we talked about it already. Top MVP candidate. Dude's leading the league in scoring. He's rebounding. I mean, that's nothing new, but he's just taking it to a whole new level. I mean, making Ben Simmons look foolish on a quasi crossover. Was it last night? The other night when they took on Brooklyn. I mean, he is putting the NBA on notice. And over the offseason, he got himself in shape. He balled out in Eurobasket. Dude's literally doing it all. I mean, he's suing his mom. There's nothing that he can do that what Luka Doncic can't do right now. So Luka Doncic is my good so far. What about your bad?
So my bad is the unfortunate injury that James Harden sustained, because I truly think that James Harden has started to look more like himself, in my opinion. I think that he's starting to get his touch back, and he's looking really good. And I think that 76ers team, if you've got him and Embiid on the same page, I think that could be a really scary duo and one of the best duos in the league, but they just haven't really gotten to find that footing yet. And so the fact that he's out, I believe it was 4 to 6 weeks is what I saw. Not a terrible injury, but that at least part is a problem. And the 76ers are a team that's kind of been up and down this whole season. They have good games. They can't pull them off. They have okay games. They win. It's just been a roller coaster for the 76ers so far. But I think that James Harden has been a bright spot. And I think that James Harden come playoff time would help you win a championship. So luckily it's only the beginning of the season, but my bad is that injury, because it's bad for the 76ers for where they're trying to get to, because he has been starting to contribute in more ways than he was last season for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, solid choice. I'm going between two things. One is a personal thing, and I'll just go. Bad was my decisions on my fantasy team yesterday to sit Joel Embiid, Kevin Porter, and Mike Conley last night. Nothing to do with the NBA other than the fact that it's fantasy basketball. But Joel Embiid had, it was listed that he was going to be sick and maybe out for the game. Same with Kevin Porter Jr. Mike Conley, I sat because I had Chris Paul and some other guys. All Joel Embiid did was play 33 points, 10 rebounds. Kevin Porter Jr., 17 points, 11 assists. And Mike Conley, 14 points and 12 assists, combining for somewhere around 150 fantasy points. Still up, but there hasn't been that much bad in the NBA. I mean, we can argue that, but yeah, that's going to be my bad this week. I'll take the L on this one. What about the ugly?
The Warriors. I'm going to honestly, it's something that has to be called out, because I mean, they're dropping games to Orlando, they're dropping games to the Heat, they're dropping games left and right out here, and they're dropping games to teams that are not looked at as teams that a contender should be losing to. So the Warriors are continuing to fall in the standings. I mean, I don't even think they're in playing. I know it's early, but I'm not sure if they're 12th, so they're out of play-in contention. Again, it's so early, it doesn't matter, but Warriors are not looking great, and a big part of that is who's made them look really good for the last few seasons. Two players that have made them look really good are starting to not help them look any better than they are now. So there's just a couple of problems on that team, and obviously coming off of a championship, they could be having a slow start. But with how good Curry's been playing, and that hasn't translated into wins, and you have Klay Thompson back, that would scare me a little bit if I was a Warriors fan, because you have all your pieces now. What's the excuse?
Well, Smoke's not gonna like this show. You talking bad about the Warriors. Ghost, welcome. You're gonna like this show. We're talking great about Luka and your Mavs, but my ugly is Ben Simmons. What's he been contributing? I mean, I haven't watched that much of each Nets game. Look at the box scores. I mean, he's putting up box scores that I used to put when I was in elementary school in the Biddy Ball League. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, really? In 30 minutes? Like, what are you doing out there? Are you just like going out and standing there? I don't know what's going on. He's not even defending very well. I mean, Luka made him look silly on that crossover we talked about right now. I get Ben Simmons hasn't played for a year. I get he's young. I know he's coming off a back injury and back surgery, but you're getting paid $30 million a year. You're supposed to be one of the top 25 players of the year. You got to give him more than 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Got to do better than my Biddy Ball stats from 1994. Come on, man. Hopefully he picks it up. And he hasn't been trying any jumpers. I know that was the big criticism of him in Philly. And the Philly fans sarcastically were cheering when he hit a 3 in exhibition, or one of the 3 threes he hit in his last regular season in Philly. I mean, with everything going on in Brooklyn, you have an opportunity, Ben Simmons, to ball out and take all the attention off your teammates and the coaching situation. I mean, you're basically playing with house money and you're blowing it. So I don't know, Ben. I don't know what Ben Simmons is doing right now. Well, that's good, bad, and ugly for this week. Wanted to get in one of the topics that we didn't get to last week because of time. Rumors have it that some of the NBA owners aren't happy with the current salary cap situation and structure. Using the Golden State Warriors, who have a payroll of $11 billion per year, they're talking about. There's rumors that the NBA is talking about implementing a hard salary cap, kind of like what they do in the NHL, kind of like what they do in the NFL. Montana, you're a football fan. I'm a football fan as well. Hockey fans. What do you make of this rumor of the NBA looking to move to a hard salary cap? How do you think that's going to affect the game?
I'm not a big fan of it moving to a hard cap. I'm really not. And we've seen it work in other leagues, of course, but I feel like every sports league is unique in the way they are ran. And I just see there being some potential issues with just implementing that at this point for the reasons they're implementing it, because it really feels it feels kind of not out of nowhere, but it's very much a big change that I think wouldn't be positive. Again, I can see the benefits because there are benefits. We've seen it. We've seen the benefits at play in the other leagues that go off of this, but I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's going to be good for the game. And I think the game has been moving in such a good direction, and the league has been moving in such a good direction in a lot of ways. Why would you kind of take a big step back? Because a lot of people are not going to like this.
Yeah, look, the NBA right now is I think what the NBA is looking for is balance. You're looking for parity. You're looking for everybody to compete. And I think we said it a show or two ago that there are no easy nights in the NBA, even with the bottom dwellers. You can't just walk in and show up because any team might surprise you. I mean, the Indiana Pacers, who we made fun of, primarily me over the offseason for trading Malcolm Brogdon for office supplies, are looking pretty good at 5-5. And nobody expected that. You don't know. There's plenty of talent in this league. You have a lot of teams that have duos, which I don't know. We probably won't have enough time to get into the best duos of the league. We'll have to get that to next week. But there's a lot of talent spread out. You have the Eastern Conference is stacked alone. I mean, there are no easy nights, especially in the East. And the West is not too much different either. So I think that, yeah, it's a little bit more strategy if you were to implement a hard cap. But the biggest thing that everybody has to remember is the Players Association has to agree with this. Why on earth would the NBA Players Association, who the NBA players are making the most money they've ever made, and they're getting multipliers, and each of their salaries is going up each year because of the TV contracts and everything like that. Why the hell would the NBA players agree to a hard cap? Because that means that there's a cap on their salaries. Me personally, I don't see this happening, because the next thing that's going to happen is either a lockout or a strike. And the NBA, listen, the players are the talent. They're the guys on the floor that we want to watch. I don't care about watching the owners. I don't care about watching Jerry Reinsdorf or watching James Dolan sit and watch a game. No, I care about the talent on the court. I get what they're trying to do and make it fair because Golden State has a ridiculous payroll. But if you can afford it, that's why there's a luxury tax. If you want to do anything, make tweaks to the current system. Make it even more, I guess, more of a penalty as far as a luxury tax go. Make it so ridiculous that no one's going to want to do it. That's how you fix it. Hard cap, teams are always going to find a way around it. And even if the players do agree to it, it's going to turn into the NFL where the owners are going to want something back, or the players are going to say, okay, get your hard cap, but we want our signing bonuses. So that way they're still making a good total annual salary, if you will, like they do in the NFL. But who knows? It's just going to be a mess. What do you think of that?
No, I agree. I think that will just create a large disconnect between, because I mean, we see a lot of other sports leagues that have really large disconnects between players and owners and GMs, and there's just a lot of disconnect that goes on. And I'm not saying hard cap is the culprit for all of those connections and situations, but I think we're going to see a lot of disconnection between players and the associations, and I just think it's going to cause more harm than good. And you don't really, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I think that it's worked really well. It's been something that has been a positive the way it's been set up, and it's worked for a while the way that they've kind of set this up. Obviously everything evolves and changes, but completely changing to a different format, and it just does not seem like it's going to be positive. And I think the players are not going to be very pleased with this. And again, Players Association, there's just going to be a lot. If this does go through, there's going to be a lot of conversations and a lot of just a lot of things that I don't think those owners I don't think they want to deal with that. So at the end of the day, I think it's going to cause more than what the owners and what people up top want to deal with. So I just don't think it's going to come to a calm conclusion, even if it goes through like that.
Yep, we're in agreement there. All right, last thing I want to touch on before we go, kind of a funny story here, depending on whose perspective you're looking at. Mavericks guard Spencer Dinwiddie was asked in a pregame. I don't know the context of what the interview question was, but basically Spencer Dinwiddie gave us a little peek behind what happened on the floor during a recent Mavericks game. He got a technical from referee Tony Brothers, and basically I think he was asked what he thought of it. And Spencer Dinwiddie said something along the lines of, "I wish he didn't call me a bleepy, 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 bleepy." Definitely not language for the kids that are watching. Montana, should this have stayed on the court? Do you side with Spencer Dinwiddie, or what do you make of this? I have to sit back and chuckle at this a little bit.
Honestly, it is a little bit on the humorous side, but I think that definitely should stay on the court, because we've seen a lot of interactions on both ends, take place. I mean, players are constantly arguing with refs, and refs are guys. I just think there's a little bit of a dynamic that players and refs have built up, and it's not like, expressing that as bad. Obviously a game made for a pretty funny interview, but I just don't think it's something that needs to leave the court, because that's just the on-court back and forth, and we've seen that on both sides for years.
I think it's hilarious that a player is complaining, and I think Spencer did what he made it. He was trying to be funny about it, just in jest. So this isn't a serious story or anything like that, but it's funny to me that an NBA player is complaining that an NBA ref cussed him out. I mean, if you've had the privilege of sitting anywhere close to being courtside within the first few rows, you can hear some of the conversation these guys have, and it's not PG rated, let me tell you. And Spencer, I mean, well played if you were going for the humor, but if you're being serious, man, you might get teed up by brothers next time he's roughing your game. So just watch your back, man. That brings us to the end of episode 24 here of Well Beyond the Arc, but this is not the only place you can find Montana and myself. Montana is working to be the most famous person in internet showbiz. Montana, tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, so I have a couple other shows. I have a Lakers show called Purple and Gold Zone. Right now it's only on Spotify, but I'm going to move it to YouTube eventually probably. But Purple and Gold Zone, episode 3 just dropped yesterday. I gave my top 10 Lakers of all time list, and then I also addressed the Kyrie to the Lakers conversation, and I talked about Westbrook. It was a pretty full show, a lot of good stuff there. So every Monday, Purple and Gold Zone drops an episode on Spotify. And then I've got a show called The Connor and Heffernan Show on YouTube and Spotify. And that's just a complete sports overlook. We talk about a bunch of different things. We have an interview this next weekend with a former Nebraska Cornhusker and a current NFL free agent, Chris Jones. So that will be dropping this weekend. And then my third one is Video Game Talk. And I'm doing that with my buddy. We just talk about all things video game, media, technology, just a fun little hour of just talking about all that stuff. So we only have one episode out right now, but we're planning on dropping our next episode this weekend.
Very nice. I got to check out your last episode about the top 10 Lakers of all time. See what I think of that one. I'm a little bit behind, but I'll get on it. You can find my work at with my sports blog. Just recently turned one. Had the blog and website up for a year now. That is the Sports Page blog. You can find it at thesportspageblog.com. 58 entries in. Just published, a couple days ago, my list of the top 12 teams since 1990, the best teams since 1990 that didn't win the NBA championship. And these are teams that didn't win a championship in that championship window. So there's been a lot of debate online on the top 4 especially, and who should have that number 1 spot. So please go check that out at thesportspage.com. Comment, send me a message, and if you think I'm right, you think I'm wrong. Curious to hear what your thoughts are. So, well, that's it for Well Beyond the Arc for this week. We will be working on a new show time. It might either be this regular time of Tuesday at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, or we may be moving it to Wednesday. So just be on the lookout. We will try to continue to make this a weekly show going forward, but we will try for a new date and time. So make sure you subscribe to the Yankee and the Brit and hit that notification button. You'll find us. So long, everybody. See you guys next week.